One of the most important parts of any power exchange relationship is consistency. Even if we enjoy the adventure of exploring a new kink every night, for our relationship to function and to be pretty much healthy, we still need the consistency of the dominant being the dominant and the submissive being submissive. It's also important for consistency to extend to actions. I'm Primal Piggy. You can find me on Facebook at The Primal Piggy, all one word. I'm also the admin of a rather large Facebook page called Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape. You can find that at WCDT BDSM. You can also find a lot of our resources at www.bdsmunited.com. If you're listening on your favorite platform, please leave us a review to let others know what you like or dislike about our podcast. Today, we're talking about routines as part of the D in discipline in the BDSM acronym. We're continuing our summer BDSM summer school series. And today we're talking about routines. Routines make it easier for us to anticipate what's expected of us within the dynamic and often in other aspects of our lives too. From the time we're small children, our parents establish routines in our daily lives, which give us comfort and security by allowing us to mentally anticipate and understand what's expected of us in our daily lives. This carries on into adulthood in our jobs and social lives. How well would any of us sleep if we never knew from day to day what time we're supposed to go to work or what manner of dress was required to wear in the office on any given day? Again, these are things we take for granted, but never put a lot of thought into calling them what they are. They're routines. Some of us like change or the thrill of the unknown, even a bit of chaos in our lives, but most of us find our comfort in having routines and structure to one degree or another. And in power exchange, we can utilize routines in the form of rituals, thus giving us the simplest routine, thus giving even the simplest routine some degree of formality, and often make what otherwise might be thought of as boring or a burden into an exciting activity. Rituals are powerful tools that derive from the D of BDSM discipline. Some submissives will have rituals for themselves, like maybe a mantra they say in the morning when they wake up or something like that. But oftentimes dominants will create rituals specific to their relationship. So rituals, in other words, take something that may be mundane or boring and they make it exciting, an exciting part of your dynamic. So some of your day-to-day everyday kinds of things that you do that you're like, oh, they're kind of you kind of trudge through them normally. As part of a relationship dynamic, you can turn some of those things into rituals, and then they become more exciting parts of your relationship dynamic. Rituals can be formal, such as inspection, presentation, collaring, and uncollaring. Oftentimes in the morning for those who don't sleep in their collar, or before or after a scene or a medical professional visit or something. They can be drink service or formal dining. Yet most rituals aren't those formal things. Most rituals are the consistent way a dominant instructs a submissive to do routine tasks or perform standing orders. As with all protocol, there's only one right way to perform a task or a ritual, and that is the specific way that the dominant has taught a specific submissive to perform that specific task or ritual. I know that's a little wordy there, but we want it to be specific. So, in other words, there's only one right way to perform a task or a ritual, and it's the way the dominant has instructed the submissive to do it. When rituals are utilized in a power exchange relationship, they give focus and reinforcement to a submissive mindset. They're, they also tell the submissive what to expect, to give a clear answer or method to how a submissive should behave in most any situation. And they give the dominant a clear picture if the submissive is meeting those expectations. Rituals and routines are a very powerful tool that is often underutilized. Rituals as a specific way of doing a task create a mindset that can realistically keep a power exchange in place and active on a 24/7 basis. They help bring consistency to a relationship. It's really important though that the ritual appears. Well, it's actually not very important. Sorry, that a ritual appears to be a formal routine, uh, as it is that it's performed the exact way or the exact steps that are taught, and that it's enforced that way by the dominant. So it's not the appearance of the ritual or the parts of the ritual that are as important as that it is performed in the exact way that it's taught and that it's enforced that way by the dominant. If you give very specific rituals to perform with some tasks and not others, a submissive may come to feel they're not serving properly by doing the unspecified task in any fashion they want. Excuse me. Submissives who embrace ritual will come to want, if not need, to have a method defined for them. Since most any type of task can be modified to fit a ritual, the important thing to remember when defining the ritual is to create a list of defined steps and tasks that complete that ritual in a specific and repeatable manner. So there's got to be consistency there. It's got to have specific tasks or steps to complete, and it needs to be repeatable so that you can maintain consistency. It's got to be able to be done a similar, if not exact way, the same or every single time. It's important to note, however, if you want to ensure that you're building a recipe for success, that you don't implement more rituals than you think that both the dominant and the submissive can consistently follow through on. So, remember, as a dominant, you have to enforce uh, these rituals. You have to ensure that that the submissive is meeting your expectations. You have to follow up, and as a submissive, you have to consistently follow through. In our next podcast, we'll look at rules, which are a little different than rituals. Every relationship must have some rules and guidelines that both persons follow to avoid the constant pitfalls and confusion. The dominant has a baseline to gauge success or failure with the submissive, and the submissive has to know exactly what's expected of them. Within the scope of rules, we'll also look at some at boundaries and limits because they kind of tie in. And then we'll spend some time, looking at training or beginning to look at training, uh, and then uh, and then we'll kind of move forward from there. Once a structure is formed and a method has been determined, how we implement discipline is really important. I am Primal Piggy. You can find me on Facebook at the Primal Piggy, all one word, or at Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape at WCDT BDSM. I hope that you look more into adding rituals and routines. Like I said, they're very powerful tools, and I hope you look forward look for more ways to implement those in your power exchange relationship dynamic. They're very powerful and often underutilized, or oftentimes people don't see how important or how useful that they are. Again, thank you for listening to this BDSM United podcast.